I'm Logan Webb, and you're listening to Torture Cast.
You're listening to a podcast by and for fans of the three-time world champion, San Francisco Giants. With hosts Chad King and Eric Nathanson. This is Torture Cast.
It's Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, and welcome to our 2025, boy, it's so weird to say that still, season preview. This is episode 310 of the Torture Cast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. And yeah, the reports of our demise were premature, and my co-host Eric Nathanson, who's joining me right now, can attest to that. We've had a little bit of a rough go for a variety of personal and professional reasons, which we will not get into. But Eric, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be talking baseball again. I watched the games the last two nights. I hadn't watched any of the spring training or anything like that. It's like there's something about a mood that just changes a little bit when the baseball season is suddenly upon you. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's right. I get this old friend back in my life for every day for the next 6 months. And, it's a nice feeling. So to counteract those personal and professional things, I'm very happy baseball is here now, because it's the perfect distraction. And it's good to talk about the Giants. It's good to not have to talk about Farhan. It's good that Buster's in charge. So, I'm really happy about the Giants being back in our lives again. So it's good to finally be doing this again. I'm glad we were able to get a season preview going.
Yeah, baseball is just a wonderful distraction no matter, what period of your life you're in. It's a great escape, and it's definitely something I think I'm just going to guess half the country needs right now. So I certainly need it for a lot of reasons. I'm a federal employee, so take from that what you will. But yeah, what really got me into the spirit, Eric, was, we're invited every year to go up to the media open house every year. I do lament, though, the fact that they've stopped the media press event that they used to have right before FanFest, where on a Friday afternoon before FanFest, actually started at like 10 or 11 a.m., they'd invite all the media up, and that's when all the players are there. And it was kind of like speed dating, where you just go from table to table or suite to suite. The bigger players had the big suites, so it was always like Buster and Mad Bum, and those guys have the suites, and then all your bullpen utility guys have the little small bar tables out in the middle of the club area, and no one talks to them, kind of thing. But that was awesome, because that was a great way to just catch up with the players, not ask extremely serious questions. It was a low key kind of environment. But now they've split it up the last couple of years to this kind of traveling fan fest. And they did have one in San Jose, but I couldn't attend it that day. But they only have like 3 or 4 players at each of these little stops. And they're designed for the fans, not the media, although media are invited. I miss that event. I really do. Especially now, because it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get media credentials for I don't know how long. But, the Giants have tightened down the hatches, and they're only allowing the big boys in now. So all the smaller market, podcasters, bloggers, fan sites, even some people we know that are kind of higher up in those echelon ranks are not being allowed in, at least last year. But they still invite us to these things. It just would have been nice to access some of the players. But it was nice to be back in the park. Said hi to Larry Bear. Never met him before, actually. Just kind of shook his hand and said thanks. And, saw a lot of the previews for a lot of the stuff that they're going to be debuting this year. I put a lot of that stuff out on social media. I'm still working because I just haven't had enough time on my food review video, by the way, which I put out the last several years. That's a lot of fun. So it's about half made. I'm hoping to have it out by the end of this week. By the way, some of the food is excellent. Some of it not so good. But I'm going Buffalo Ranch pretzel. That was way up there. Their new ramen bar. Oh, really, really good. Chicken sandwich, top notch. And the loaded potato actually was my favorite. That was like brisket and mac and cheese and bacon and a few other things. That's crazy. Hey, I just got a text. We got our third leg coming in. Our tripod, our trifecta. Willie Dills, how you doing, man? How's the pool going?
Good. Can you guys hear me? Am I muted?
Yeah,
No, you're good.
Oh, okay, cool. It's probably gonna be a little windy. I'm standing out front of a bar. It's a quiet street though, so I think this will work out okay. Yeah, so I got a couple games here before I got to run back in. So I figure this is the most amount of time I'll have to come in and talk baseball with you guys. But I checked in earlier, and Chad, you were on an unstoppable rant about your situation at work. I was like, I'm just gonna come back in a second. I will.
Sorry about that. We started.
Go play one more game. No, you need to let it out, man. You got to talk about it.
Eric and I were both commiserating.
Yes.
About our situations, shall we say. So
this is real life stuff, man. It's important.
We were just talking about how Giants baseball is a distraction no matter what year it is. But boy, right now, it's a welcome distraction kind of in our lives, you know?
Yeah.
It's something that we need. And I was just saying how exciting it was to be at the park for kind of the media open house and just kind of the season is starting. Hey, look, I know you got limited time here, so we got a lot of stuff to go through.
Sure.
I want to kind of get to the meat of it, and so we're just going to jump a little bit ahead because you have what, like 10 minutes with us or something like that? Yeah,
I mean, I think I have enough time to just give like my general thoughts going into the season, and then you guys can put a button and all that and give the real thoughts, the ones that you guys are more analytical than I am right now. I'm definitely in my emotional, I'm a fucking fan state of Giants fandom because, like you said, it's just it's so nice to hear the sounds of baseball again on my TV, on my radio, back in my life. And normally when the Warriors are like actually a decent team, the beginning of baseball I can half pay attention to because I'm still focused on the Warriors season ending. But for whatever reason this year, maybe it's because I went to spring training last year and didn't go this year, and I really am sad that didn't happen. I am just incredibly excited about this season of Giants baseball. I'm ready for the downs. I'm ready for the ups. I'm ready for all of it.
Now,
yeah, I'll tell you what. I put the game on last night, and it was the first time I'd watched any baseball, and I was basically one inning into it, and I kind of looked at the dog, and I was like, oh yeah. I love this.
Yeah,
I'm so happy this is back. It was such a great. It filled me up. You know what I mean? It was one of those.
Sure.
Like it was a boost. It was great to have that feeling. I was like, oh yeah, this is my old friend.
Yeah.
Right, so
I know that we all have a lot of real world stuff going on. So this is just like those things that can just give you a reprieve from that for just 2.5 hours. It used to be 3.5, 2.5.
Right.
But
That's the only reason I miss the longer games.
Yeah, it's a little baseball light now. Little speedball, I guess. Well, no, that's a different kind of thing. Oh, well, we don't do speedball.
Sure.
Hey, before we get into all the fun stuff with the predictions, which is always one of the highlights of our season preview show, Eric was talking earlier, kind of before the show, a little bit about what he heard. Dave Fleming was on with Tom Tolbert talking about how this spring training's been a little different the way Buster's running it. And so I kind of want to lead in with Eric re-summarizing that a little bit and then kind of pitching that to you, Willie, to see if like you've seen what Eric is going to say. Like if you've seen a difference in the clubhouse or the team energy or whatever spring training. So Eric, why don't you go ahead and tell that again?
Well, it was interesting. So Flem was on with Tom Tolbert, and Tolbert asked him. He said, "What's different about camp this year than under Buster than the past few years under Farhan?" And Flem pointed out, and he said it's smaller. He said there's not as many guys in the clubhouse anymore. They didn't bring in, 20 extra guys to just compete for no reason and throw anything against the wall. He's like, it's smaller. And he said it seems that Buster is more focused on giving those 6 weeks a chance to have the team kind of come together instead of all fighting with each other for a job. And so, which I think sounds very positive coming from that. So it makes you wonder, this team under Buster, how is it looking different than what we've been seeing under Farhan? And is that part of the reason you're kind of a little excited, you think, is because there does seem to be a shift in attitude?
That's interesting that you say that because I didn't know that maybe this was what was going on. because again, I wasn't at last year. I was at spring training, and it was incredible to kind of just be there, for that experience and see baseball kind of in its like purest form, almost like young guys playing, 20-year-olds who are never going to be in the majors, but today they might face Justin Verlander, right? But this year, I did notice the Giants were basically running out what looked like their normal lineup earlier in spring than I remember. Mm-hmm. And also guys staying into the later innings because, there's like this line change that happens during spring. Around the 5th inning or so, suddenly you look up and you're like, I don't know who any of these people are. And I will never see them again, probably. And it didn't feel that way. We had a couple of guys who kind of made some waves, like Stassi. He hit a couple of fun home runs late in games. But late in game home runs are always hit by some guy you've never heard of because that's who's playing. And I did notice that it seemed like rather than this being a tryout, it was more of, let's figure out where we're going to put these pieces and how we're going to move them around in more of a game situation than in previous years. So, I mean, I'm with you, Eric. I think that's a big positive change because you're right. These guys spring training it's a chance to show off what you can do. But if you're not going to make the team this year, why are you here taking at bats, right? When you could be somewhere else doing something more positive and not, like you said, becoming competitors with our teammates. And instead, everybody's like gelling in the locker room. I really do feel in the Giants. I know spring training records don't matter. We could say that till we're blue in the face. But I think it matters having the best record at the end of spring training. I think there's something to that. That doesn't mean we're the best team in baseball, but it doesn't mean that we're as bad as people think we are. I believe this team has a chance to do something, maybe not special, not like go all the way or anything like that, but I think we have the ability to surprise some people this year.
I will say the last time the Giants won the Cactus League was 2010. Just saying. So.
Oh, okay.
Really?
That's a fun stat.
They surprised some people that year. And what's really weird about that is 2010 was the first year of my life I ever said at the beginning of the season, oh my God, the Giants are going to win the World Series this year. And a lot of that was based off the team building and the way that I had observed some things from spring training. I wasn't there, but I remember there was a couple shows behind the scenes and stuff. It was crazy. Wow. Huh.
Yeah.
2010.
So, 2010 is also the reason why this podcast exists, because I was working at Apple.
Yep.
At the Apple store, and Mike Garcia and Ben Lee got very excited about the Giants that year and said, we got to start a podcast. And here we are 15 seasons later.
I was about to say, this is our 15th season. My God, that's crazy, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Longest running Giants podcast, just want to say. So
that's Giants right. We suck at Cole Kuiper.
Hint. Let us in. God damn it. Anyway.
All right, so I think I'm getting called back in. So let me give you guys just my quick predictions, and then I can't wait to listen to this episode. By the way, this is going to be. It's been a while since I've been able to listen to an episode and just be like, yes. So I texted you guys 91 the other night, and I think I was a little drunk and a little overzealous.
I put it in the show notes with a question mark because I wondered if you're going to meant that.
Now, to be fair, Chad, I saw your Reddit post, and I'm not that crazy, apparently, because some people in there
are some crazy ones in
we're
there.
saying some wild stuff, dude. But no, I think I'm tempering that a little bit. I'm gonna lock in at 88. I'm gonna lock in at 88.
Okay.
And I believe that's a very realistic number. It's going to take a few things for that to happen. It's going to mean that some people are going to have to stay healthy, and right now there's some big question marks when it comes to that, because we have some guys who I wouldn't call them injury prone. I would just say we haven't seen 162 games out of a lot of these guys.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, you got your Lamont Wades, obviously Jung-Hoo Lee. It's too early in his career to call him injury prone, but.
Yeah.
Then of course Verlander being 42 years old. There's that. Then you've got guys like Logan Webb, who is just going to be a horse, and he's going to put those innings in. And then I think our lineup is actually pretty nice front to back. When Wilmer's not actually being considered for a starting position outside of DH, I like it. I like it. And not that I don't like Wilmer. I think he's best used as a utility guy and a guy who's a decent bat in the middle of the lineup, but not a starting everyday third baseman or first baseman.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
I don't want him to be the cornerstone of our team.
No. If Wilmer Flores is the cornerstone, there are problems. And
yes, exactly.
Kind of 2 years ago, that was kind of the drum we were banging, saying this is the problem.
Yeah, this is he's not a guy to build a team around. But he's great when you can plug him into lots of different spots. And he opens up so much space on your roster by the fact that he can jump in at a lot of positions in the infield. So you don't have to carry 3 utility infielders, right? You can just have him plus another guy. And also, this is going to be a big one. Tyler Fitzgerald is going to have to, I think, have an above-average season. He's got to be a plus WAR guy for this 88 to kind of lock in, because he's got the job, for better or for worse, and he's got the tools. So, and he's looked great in spring. If he can, continue to play good defense, have a little bit of pop, and be fast and annoying on the base paths, that's going to create a lot of opportunities for the Giants to score runs around him. The big question marks for me, I think right now, are middle bullpen and Camilo Duvall's season. Mm-hmm. I really am rooting for him to kind of make a case that he should be a closer again in the major leagues. I love Walker getting that job right from the get, but I want to see Duvall kind of shut the haters down a little bit and be a solid guy you can plug in the 6th, 7th, 8th, whatever makes sense. And, you got Rogers in the 8th generally, I think, and Walker in the 9th, and that's a solid way to end most baseball games. We just got to get a lead. And I think this team has been raking in spring. I don't see why we wouldn't continue to do so. So there you go. 88 wins. That's my prediction.
You got 2 more minutes?
2 more, sure.
Okay. I got to go down the list just because I got to put this down for posterity so we can compare at the end of the year.
Yes.
All right. So obviously they're not winning the NL West, I presume. So what place do you think they're going to be with 88 wins in the NL West?
I'm gonna give them 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give them 3rd. We're gonna edge the Diamondbacks out by just a little bit. I think the Padres are going to have a resurgence and be the 2nd team. And it's going to be weird, though. It's going to be tough. The Rockies, we got them. We got them covered.
I would hope so.
I don't think that's
there you go. I'm going to say 3rd. I'm going to say 3rd, and we're going to sneak into a wild card spot this year.
So you're saying yes to playoffs. Okay, who do you think is going to lead the team in home runs?
Ooh, Chapman. Matt Chapman. I think he's going to finally get 30. I think he's going to finally get 30.
Man, that's a curse, man.
I know.
It's never going to happen again.
Yeah, since Bonds, different left fielder every year. And, of course,
I'm going to say it every year, 30. Too.
I know.
I'm going to say someone's going to get 30
One of these
every
years
year.
We're going to be right.
Sure. So I was early on. I was like, oh, Adames could maybe, but I'm watching him. I'm like, no, he's like a 30 doubles guy, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a gap hitter.
Yeah, and a lot of stolen bases and good defense at short. So, but Chapman is the guy who actually has a chance. Staying healthy all season, that's the big one. And I love watching him steal. But in spring training, I'm like, Chap, you don't have to stretch that single into a double just yet, dude.
Yeah. Just spring, baby.
But he loves to run, man. He loves to run. What can I say? All right, what else you got?
Batting average.
Oh, batting average. Ooh. I guess I'm going to go with Jung-Hoo on this one. Jung-Hoo Lee. I think he's going to he's going to beat out a lot of stuff, and he's going to get a lot of ground balls up the middle and, just seeing eye singles. And yeah, I think he won't hit near 300. I think like a 280 is going to do it this year for the Giants.
How about wins?
280 is a phenomenal batting average at this point in the major leagues, by the way.
In this day and age, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, who do you got for wins?
Well, it's Webb. It's Webby, obviously.
I think all 3.
And I think I'm going to put him down for about 12 to 13. I don't think he's going to get to the 15 mark because, again, it's just hard to get wins in the majors anymore.
Yeah.
I will say I think Verlander is going to – I think Bob Melvin knows Verlander is playing baseball because he wants to get to 300. So Verlander's going to get a little more stretch late in games than maybe he should. just to try to qualify. You know what I mean?
Might, yeah.
I think they're going to try to get him to six innings almost every outing.
Okay, how about ERA?
That's Webby. That's Webby as well. I guess, relievers, I guess, can count in this one too. So I'll go with Walker then. If it's,
Okay, so Webb, Walker. Yeah, for like starter, reliever.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
How about stolen bases?
I'm going to go with Adames, even though I think it's actually going to be Chapman. I'm going to go for Adames, though.
Okay. All right.
That's like the first one that we've all three had different answers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Really?
First one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, honestly, there's a few answers that make sense here. I mean, you could say Fitzgerald because he's going to run a lot. I think Chapman's just going to be on base more, and I think Adames too. That's I think more opportunities.
No, it's opportunities is a big one there for sure. Not necessarily speed. Okay, and the last couple. Who's going to be an all-star this year?
I'm going to go with Chappie and Webb. And you know what? And Walker. Walker's going to actually get the nod this year because he's going to have an amazing start to the season. Yeah.
I like it.
You're big in the Walker camp right now.
No, I mean, dude, he's solid, man. Like if you his stuff just sets up really nicely to come in the ninth inning, and you haven't seen a breaking ball move like that all game. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
I agree with you there.
All right, and the last one. Who do you think is going to get any of the special hardware? Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, MVP, Cy Young, etc. Any ideas?
Yeah, I think Bailey's gonna follow it up with another one, and then I think Chapman has the best chance outside of him. As far as like a Silver Slugger or anything like that, I don't think we really have that kind of hardware on the team.
We haven't put that either.
We both only put Gold Glove.
Yeah, Gold Glove. That's where we shine, dude. That's where we shine. But the thing is Bailey's gonna, he's gonna have a good solid chance at it just because he's already got one. Yeah. So he's on the radar. And then I think Chapman is another guy that people, especially if he has a good offensive season, people are going to look at him and they're going to want to give him nods for it. And obviously we know how great he is. So it really just comes down to how many highlights does he put on and does he play a full season? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool, man.
So there you go.
That's good, man.
Health is always key.
Yes.
Health is key.
Well, I'm glad I was able to get in here for a little bit, guys. And like I said, I can't wait to listen to the rest of this show. And hell yeah, let's go Giants, dude. 2025. I feel good. I feel good right now.
Baby.
And I'm going to my first game on April 9th, so I'm actually going to a game pretty early on. Chad, should we try to just see if we can should we just log into the thing and see if we get approved?
I'm going to try at some point.
It's worth a shot, right?
Yeah, They don't penalize
we still have
you.
access to the portal, so we might as well at least,
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get shot.
Look, I love Jung Hoo Lee, but he took away. Yeah, I know. I haven't gotten approved for a while, so. Yeah.
No, he gave them an excuse. He didn't take that away.
Yeah, I know. It's not his fault, but he definitely gave him an excuse.
No, but he totally did. They were like, "Oh, this is the perfect excuse,"
There was a Giants employee whom I talked to, someone who I'd never met before, and this person I was talking to about the credential issue, and I just asked this person, "Hey, do you have any idea if policy is changing this year or staying the same or whatever?" And this person said, "What I've heard is no, it's being locked down again this year, but this person thinks it is because of the Korean media." 100%.
Yeah.
Huh. They can't confirm it because they're not directly involved, but they work for the Giants, and they're like, yeah, we've heard from other independent bloggers, and this person they worked for basically marketing and outreach and all that, but not media relations. And this person was like, yeah, that's kind of the sense we get. So again, not confirmation, but if a Giants employee is saying, yeah, I think it's because of the Korean media, they just won't have as many, empty seats. Now, the frustrating part, of course, last year, I don't down,
think, I don't think they're lying about it.
But they didn't know about it.
No. But it is the second year, so it's not as exciting. And I don't know. The thing that bothers me, though, is we never did anything wrong. We never broke any rules. We never bothered anybody. It's to me, it's shouldn't take away something that we already had, unless we did something to deserve that. You know what I mean? So that's what bugs me. And I always told people the Giants were such a cool organization because of things like this.
Yep.
So I want them to stay cool, man. I want to stay cool, Giants.
I know. Hey, look, it's that,
Yeah.
we're not entitled to it, and I understand. But
No,
it is frustrating.
of course
But we had our moments there, and hopefully we still can in the future. And we'll just.
I just didn't know what I had until it was taken away from me.
That's
you
right.
know what I mean?
Right. That's exactly it.
100%, man.
Yeah.
All
right, boys. I got to get out of here. Have a good rest of your show.
All right. See
you.
Yeah. Good luck in your games, man.
Thanks, guys. All right. Peace.
Later.
All right. Well, that was good that Willie was able to join us at least for a little bit, but kind of jumped the gun a little bit on our predictions, which is fine. We'll get to that in a while. But yeah, I mean, we mentioned that they won the Cactus League. I know that's silly. It's like the NBA tournament in the mid-season or whatever. It's like no one really cares. But they were technically Cactus League champions at 19-6. They were 12-1 at home, dude. That's the thing that really stood out to me. And if you look through their rankings, again, I know it's spring training, but everybody at spring training, right? They were third in home runs, sixth in runs, fifth in batting average, second in OPS, third in ERA, first in WHIP, third in batting average against, third in Ks. They allowed the fewest walks, like way below the average. The average is around like 105, 110 walks. For the spring, they had 68. It was like way below. Chappie hit 405 with 6 bombs, led the team there. Yaz had 4 yanks. Adamas hit 333 with 3 bombs. Webb and Ray and Birdsong 1.77, 1.86, and 0.75 ERAs, respectively. They had a lot of guys that had really good spring. And I don't know if that does speak to what you were saying earlier about what Flem said about how it was a smaller camp and maybe there was a little bit more gelling, but I heard interviews with some of the other players, and that seemed to be the sentiment, was that there was a lot of camaraderie and a lot of good bonding and just, just camaraderie, I guess you could, like I just said.
Well, it's the human element of the game.
Yeah.
Right. That's something Buster understands, but not something somebody like a Farhan would understand, because no offense to the little geek in the corner with the computer, but that's what he was. Buster was down there on the field in the middle of it. So I think that's interesting, hearing these numbers and just, watching the games the last couple of nights. You're right. Everybody that was coming to the plate, they're batted 310 or 290 for the spring or 333, and I was like, wow, these guys really are putting it together on the hitting side. That it does. It looks like these numbers. I mean, how you have to win this Cactus League if your numbers are that good. That's kind of the thing is, if you don't, it's results. But 12-1 at home, you're right. That also speaks to the human element of just being comfortable.
Yeah, so one thing we've always talked about, the way Farhan ran this team, it was a ledger sheet. It was transactional. It was a fantasy team in a way to him. And the planets aligned for 2021. We all know that. At the time, we didn't think it would necessarily be an outlier. We thought maybe it would be repeatable, reproducible. It was not. Everything worked out that year. Every person they called up, hit. Every pinch hitter hit. Every reliever shut it down to get their franchise record 107 wins. It didn't work out against the Dodgers in the first round. I mean, they were one hit away from winning that series, clearly. It was, neck and neck till the very end. Still wasn't a third strike. But anyway, we'll bemoan that for forever and ever. But they still lacked the chemistry, especially in the years after that. And we noted that. I mean, people were very quiet. Remember all the clubhouse stuff that was happening, where people were playing, games before and after losses, and it was upsetting some of the veterans. They were like, "Yo, you're not going to be playing card games and whatever." I mean, there were definitely some signs that it just wasn't like it was before. They didn't have an identity, and maybe this year they'll have an identity. Maybe there'll be some sort of team unity, and you and I played sports. A lot of people listening to this podcast have played sports. You don't need to play in the as a professional to understand when you get along with your teammates and there's a sense of common purpose and drive, and you get support from them, and you support them. They pick you up when you fail. You pick them up on the field when someone else fails. It builds that confidence, and you feed off of it, no matter how good or bad your teammates are. And so we've seen that. It is tangible. It's not something you can put on paper. but it is tangible in the feeling and a lot of times the results. So, maybe chemistry can buy you an extra 3, 4, 5 wins a year. I don't know. I don't know if there's a number for that. That's a feeling I would have. I don't think there's too many, 75 win teams that had the best camaraderie in the world. I'm just guessing. I don't hear about that,
It's true. Right, it's true. We never hear, about the team that fell, the 2 games under 500, but we had a hell of a bunch of guys and we had a great time doing it. Like you're totally right. That's never something that comes out afterwards.
No. So, look, there's hope there. And I know there's spring, blooms eternal, and we get it. Everyone is 0-0 at this point, except the Dodgers and Cubs. They're Dodgers 2-0.
Stupid Cubs.
I know they're already ahead of the Giants. It's like
couldn't have helped it. Yeah.
Not even one game. Come on, guys.
Right.
But yeah, there is a lot of positivity, I guess, and I think we should kind of get into the rotation. Let's talk about that first. I think that's the most exciting part of it. I think at the end of last year, we weren't so up on the rotation. And remember, it was going into just after the trading deadline, or it was just before the trading deadline. I guess just after, I can't remember, when Farhan had that press conference and said, I think we have the best rotation in baseball. And you and I just busted out laughing out loud. I mean, that was hilarious to even say that. It's like, do you work for Donald Trump? Oh, sorry, I got played.
Right, and then people got injured too. Like you can't say that. He kind of jinxed it. I felt like that was the moment everything just went downhill last year. That's so funny.
Yeah, that was really a turning point. It was an unfortunate, I think, gaffe that he had. He said something that was just objectively not true, and even the reporter said, "Hey, look, this is a house of cards. If one dude gets hurt." That was right after the trade of, oh my God, blanking out on the pitcher's name, to the Indians. But they were asking him.
Cobb.
Yeah, thanks, Alex Cobb. And, who was excellent for the Giants when he was healthy, and he was just about to come off the IL, and they traded him to the Indians. And obviously he had some success with them at the end of the year, not so much in the playoffs. But they, could have used him down the stretch. But instead, he said, "Now we got some young guys, Birdsong, et cetera, that are going to take up the slack." And then, of course, people got hurt and Cobb was gone, and they just kind of faded away and didn't make the playoffs. But this year, I know it always looks good in spring training, but you always think some of these rookies or these, second-year players have a little bit more under their belt, and maybe with this new chemistry and a new pitching coach and having a veteran in the pen, Verlander, who's clearly, many reports state that he's been working with the younger guys, maybe some of this is going to be to their value. Right now we have a rotation of Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Verlander, Jordan Hicks, and Roop. And, Roop himself had a fantastic spring. I know his ERA wasn't great. That's because he gave up like a 3-run bomb or something, which was like 3 out of his 5 earned runs. But he was striking everyone out. Birdsong went to the pen, but Birdsong had a .75 ERA and struck out everyone too, and he didn't walk anyone. His walks were non-existent, which he had problems with before. Which a lot of the pitching staff actually reduced those walks, which I was saying earlier, where they were way, way below the average, and they led the majors this spring. Yet Kyle Harrison, who had a decent spring, and he probably would have been forecast to be at the top of this group, but he was optioned to AAA, and he'll be up. We know guys like Hicks and others are going to get hurt. And Birdsong, he took it gracefully, and he said, "I know I'm going to get my shot." Same thing. I think a Hicks or a Verlander is, going to get hurt or something's going to happen to them. We still don't know about Robbie Ray and how resilient his arm is going to be this long after Tommy John surgery. But the bullpen is going to be Birdsong, Duvall, Spencer Bivens, who was just announced to the team yesterday, Randy Rodriguez, Ryan Walker, the closer, Tyler Rogers. Unfortunately, his brother Taylor was traded to the Reds back in January, so no more Rogers twins. That lasted a couple years. Eric Miller, and it looks like Lou Trevino right now. I know the final roster hasn't been announced, but it looks like that's the 13 pitching staff that's going to end up to start the 26-man. What about the pitching staff kind of stands out to you, either starter or reliever?
Well, with the starters, it's depth. They really do. They have a deep rotation. Harrison apparently had some illness or something that caused him to lose weight before spring training. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't fully healthy. And so that's why he's back in AAA, is to get starts. And I think Birdsong is in the bullpen just on the sheer fact that, like you said, they know they can swap them out. Landon Roop did a good job, putting himself in this position. So I love the depth of our rotation. I cannot think of the last time the Giants had this kind of depth in the rotation. It's been a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Verlander's going to break down every now and then. Robbie Ray, he didn't walk a guy until his final batter of spring training last night. It was amazing.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. That's crazy.
Yep.
Wow.
19 and a third innings, and he only walked the one guy to end his spring training.
That's incredible.
Which, I like the back end, like Willie talking about Walker. He seems really excited about Walker, and I don't blame him. He's right. He comes at you all funky. He kind of does fit that closer's mold that you want to see. And, Camilo going back to a 7th inning role, and then Lou Trevino making the roster after not playing at all last year anywhere. Last time he played was in 2022 with the A's, I believe it was. So, the bullpen I'm not as high on, but I do like the back end. Mm-hmm. It's just that I think that the rotation is just the pitching staff in general. The Giants are probably going to have a top 10 pitching staff in the entire league this year, and it should be close to top 5. But I'd love to see a full season out of Ray now. I'm really looking forward to that. Hicks, I'm curious to see if he hits the wall this year or not. That's another thing you got to think about with Birdsong and Harrison, is Hicks wasn't a full-time starter until last year. And he hit that wall in like end of July, where he just totally fell off a cliff. So will that happen again this year? And, it all goes back to health. But I really like the look of the rotation right now. I like the options that they have with Birdsong and Harrison as the extra guys. You know what we're not going to see this year, and I'm thrilled about it? We're not going to see a freaking opener. We're never going to see the opener. There's no more bullpen games for the Giants. I'm 100% certain of it. Unless there's 4 pitcher injuries at the same time, we are not getting a bullpen game.
I don't think we can guarantee that. You never know. I mean, again, right. Logan Webb's a lock to be in the whole year. I mean, he's been the model of health, right? Roop is unproven. Hicks, we know what happened. I mean, he was the talk of baseball in April, May, and part of June. He was one of the top starters in all of baseball. And then, like you said, he just didn't have those innings as experience. He just didn't have the stamina, and he fell off a cliff. Verlander, we all know, 42, whatever. And then Robbie Ray, again, hasn't really pitched a full season since his TJ. So this all can fall apart fairly quickly. Like you said, if 2, 3, 4 guys go down at a time or overlap over a period of many weeks. So this has happened to the Giants before, and it gets like, oh, this rotation looks really good. And then 3 months later, you're like, what the hell happened? Even though
I feel like we were saying that last year.
Yeah. We have the best rotation in baseball. Really, dude?
Oh my God.
I don't think so. Nope. It was 2 years ago, by the way. I said last year, but I meant 2 years ago. So anyway, position players, again, they start off the year here with 26, right? We got catchers that we got Patrick Bailey and Sam Huff, it looks like. Tom Murphy, of course, is still on the shelf, and Stassi had a good spring, but it's been a couple years since he played, so he accepted the role. He had a player option to actually be released and to become a free agent if he didn't make the major league roster, and he denied it. He actually said, nope, I already talked to the Giants and I accepted my role. I knew that I would start in AAA. And he's okay with that. So that kind of is a good sign too, when we're pointing towards the whole like team chemistry and how players are getting along together and all that, because he might have been picked up by another team to get a guaranteed major league roster spot. And he didn't have that here. And so he could have been released. And he said, nah, I'm good in AAA. I know I'll have my chance. And look, you and I know that one of these catches is going to go down. It happens every year. So he's going to get his chance.
Yeah, he is. And that's really telling for the organization, too, is that he wanted to stay in the organization. And, even if that means passing up a major league opportunity somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that's good. I don't want to say it's classy, but it says good things about our organization.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't hate the organization. Let's put it that way. Around the horn, we got Chapman at third, Adames over at short, probably a Tyler Fitzgerald at second, and then, Lamont Wade at first. We're going to have Flores to mix in and out. Obviously we had Encarnacion as the DH, but he's out 5 to 6 weeks with a fractured hand. He had surgery yesterday, so he's going to be out. They haven't announced the final, couple of spots, but we got options with Casey Schmidt and Brett Wisely. Casey Schmidt hit 301 against lefties last year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be him. I really do.
That's my money. My money's on Schmidt because Wisely is kind of more of a contact hitter. He's a little bit more like not as fast as Tyler Fitzgerald, but it's kind of like, well, we already got Fitzgerald out there at second base. Brett Wisely's kind of like a downgraded version of him, I would say. So Schmidt is a little bit more, he's not as fast and he plays more corners, but he can play second and short. And he's got pop. So he's good for a late at-bat in a game against a lefty in a crucial situation. I think that's where he's going to be mostly used. So his at-bats will probably be limited, but I assume he's going to make the team over Brett Wisely. So you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And I love our left side of the infield now with Chapman and Adames.
Yeah.
You don't realize how much you miss the shortstop until Brandon Crawford hits his career wall. And Adames, not only is he like a good shortstop and a good hitter, he really seems to be a team leader, a guy who genuinely wants to see his teammates do well. Like they had him mic'd up for half an inning yesterday while he was out there playing shortstop. And just some of the things he was saying and talking about, other people doing good things and wanting good for them. And he's jumped right in like he's going to be a part of the junior Giants community. He has a purple glove for some reason, and I'm waiting. Opening day, Kruk and Kipe said they'll tell the story of why he's wearing that purple glove. So I'm very, very curious. Yeah, they totally teased it. They're like, should we tell the story now? No. Let's save it.
They're going to wait.
So I'm really excited, though, for the left side of the infield with Chapman and Adames. They seem to feed off each other really well. You could see them constantly in communication. So, I mean, pitching and defense, it's crazy. But, this is the Giants again, pitching and defense.
In the outfield, we got Jung Hoo Lee starting off in center, Ramos in left, Yaz in right. And we're going to have another starting left fielder again this year, man. What is that, 19 seasons in a row or something like that? This is insane. I don't know.
Think so.
Because Bonds was 2007, so 2008 was different. So 25 minus the 7 puts us at 18. So I think it's the 19th straight season they've had a different left fielder. Yeah. That's stupid.
Because there was a year in there he missed opening day, and so that actually I think started the streak. Yeah. I'm totally going to see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's somewhere around there. But anyway, it's kind of dumb. So the fourth and fifth outfielders, we got options like Luis Matos and McRae. You think those two guys are going to be locks, or who do you think might be in there?
I don't know. Matos almost hurt himself running into the wall tonight.
I missed that.
On the second to last play of the game, which is very, very funny timing. But it looks like McRae, those two are the bats. Well, there it is. Yeah, it looks like those are the two that are going to get at-bats, unless they decide to keep Wisely and get rid of one of them, because Wisely can also play the outfield.
True.
But yeah, I don't know. Wisely's one of those guys that looks like he should be fast, and then he's just never really fast.
Yeah.
So it's you know what I mean? So you're right. It's been since 2007.
Yeah.
Wow. Conforto, Sable, Peterson, Slater, Dickerson, Joe. God, you remember when Connor Joe started on left field to start the season? That was 6 years ago now. And the guy's an established big league ball player now. It's crazy.
That's what I don't understand.
We kind of thought of him as like, how did this guy hang around?
I always thought that's a guy that doesn't deserve to be in the major leagues, but here he is. He's still around. So.
Right, he plays first base and stuff like that now. But yeah, I think with the outfield, the Wisely would only be the only thing that puts a wrench into that. Yeah. But I think Matos is a lock, and McRae is the one that'd be on the bubble. Yeah. But I mean, McRae showed flashes last year. He's good in the outfield. He runs good routes. He's very strikeout prone.
He's very strikeout. He's super fast, very electric, can steal bases like crazy. But like you said, he just swings and misses too much. So. He'd be great for a late edition, a late inning pinch running kind of thing or whatever. That's great, but that you don't want to waste a whole bench spot for a pinch runner. That's just not what you do. And the Giants don't steal bases. Let's be honest. I mean, a couple guys steal bases, but the Giants as a team are pretty much always at the bottom end, if not dead last, in stolen bases every single year. It's just something they don't focus on.
Well, I'm curious to get a full season out of Lee as well. I mean, we really missed out on having him. He didn't get off to the best start last year, so I'm really curious to see how he fits in and if he can stay healthy.
Yeah. Really, the only notable transaction that's kind of happened recently is David Villar or VR. He was DFA'd, and he's one of those guys who showed spark. He showed promise. One game he hit 2 home runs a couple years ago. He has some raw power. He can never put it together. Never really got that shot at the team. So sad to see him go in one way, but on the other hand, he never proved himself. He was never consistent enough. So, if he comes out and rakes with another team and Giants fans are upset about that, probably wouldn't have happened here anyway. Maybe he needed to change scenery, whatever. But, it's one of those guys I thought would have been an option, but he didn't have any options left. Sorry, bad segue there. So they had to make the decision and to make room on the 40-man, and so they let him go. But forever Giant. It is what it is.
David VR. Yeah, he was given plenty of chances.
Yeah, he was. He's been around for a while. Then, of course, injuries. I already mentioned him. Encarnacion out. And it sucked, too, because he's going to be primarily a DH, and he hurt himself diving for a ball when he was playing right field. So, and fractured his hand. So, he had to have surgery for that. So, they're talking late April, probably more closer to mid-May. He'll be back. So, they'll have to replace the DH, probably with a Wilmer Flores, Casey Schmidt part of the time, whatever it may be. Then Tom Murphy's out with that herniation, expected sometime back in the first half if his back.
I don't believe Tom Murphy is ever going to play a regular season game for the Giants. I'm sure.
I have a feeling he's one of those guys where you're just like, oh, he's just around the corner. Oh, he's at a setback. Oh, he's just around the corner. Oh, he stubbed his toe. Oh, he's around the corner. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, this is like the third time this has happened. And they traded him away in the middle of this to Seattle at one, or did they get him from Seattle? They got him from Seattle. But yeah, he does. He feels like that guy that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. He got into 13 games last year. I didn't even realize.
Yeah, and Joey Bart, by the way, #Forever Giant, is going to be the Pirates' starting catcher out of spring training. So they announced that. That'll be interesting to see how he does. Remember last year he went on that tear? He had like 10 home runs in like 2 weeks or something. But then he just dropped off after that, so we'll see what happens with him. I really wish it had worked out. They used a number 1 pick on him, but it is what it is. I wonder if Buster wanted to hold on to him.
I don't know. I think Buster likes Bailey because Bailey's good at what Buster was good at, managing the staff, pitch framing, things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy won a Gold Glove for a reason,
There's no doubt.
So I that's why I love. It worked out in the Giants' favor. I think Bailey really did turn into a solid major leaguer.
Yeah. All right. Well, Eric, I want to wrap up here in maybe about 20 minutes. So we're getting to the special part of the show, the one that we always love, and we think that, boy, we can nail some of these predictions, and then halfway through the season, and definitely by the end of the season, we look back and go, what the hell were we thinking? So we did that in last year's season review, so I'm not going to hash that up, but I know that we really missed the ball last year. We were so far off on so many things. We're going to try again. 2025, new season, just like everyone has a 0 batting average, 0 ERA. We're perfect right now. We have not failed at our predictions. We are not wrong about anything yet. So let's go ahead and throw them out. First of all, I want to say I did put out the call on Twitter and on Facebook and on Reddit for our listeners and readers and others, their guesses on how many wins the Giants would have this year. And Reddit, I mean, it's been a great resource over the years, but boy, it really blew up. We had over 113 comments, and I don't think every single one has a number on it, but we're going to try and go through them. I promised that we would do that, and we're going to do that. We had a few on Facebook and Twitter as well, but I will start with this. Vegas, 2 different sites, depending on who you go with, DraftKings, Bally's, etc., basically has the over-under at 79.5 or 80.5 wins. Kind of similar to last year. And Vegas thinks they're just going to be right at or right below 500. You already heard Willie tonight. He's going with 88, down from 91. His inebriated state, I think, elevated his prediction a little bit. So before we get into the readers, I'll go ahead and give mine right off the bat. We'll do the other things that Willie guessed a little bit later, but I'm going with a similar mark of last year. I'm going with 82 wins. I am excited about this team. I'm not poo-pooing the talent. That's not it. I would say if everyone could stay healthy for 90 to 95% of the season, I would absolutely raise this mark. There's no doubt in my mind. In fact, I think they would be around 88 wins and compete for a wild card. So I'm not poo-pooing the talent on the team. I think if they had a full season, they would be a playoff team. But that's the problem. They're just always bit by the injury bug, at least lately. Last year was, boy, definitely no exception. They were really bit by the injury bug. And with some older pitchers and some guys that are notorious for having issues and just being a long baseball season, I think it's going to bite them in the ass again this year. So that's my reason for kind of deflating what I would normally think would be 87, 88 wins down to about 82. So that's kind of where I'm, and not making the playoffs. Where are you at, Eric?
I am not even that positive, but that's because I'm kind of in this show me phase. Every year I get all excited right around this time. We do the season preview. Last year I said they'd win over 90 games.
Yes, you did.
And I get burned. I get burned every single year. And this is a team that has gone 80 and 82, 79 and 83, 81 and 81, 107 and 55, 29 and 31 over the last 5 years. So they're a 500 ball club. And I can't look at them as anything but a 500 ball club. I mean, they've become this stale, boring object over the last few years. So I'm just going to assume that this season's going to go the same. And so I want them to show me something. They have to prove it to me. I know they don't know who I am, but they have to prove it to me. So I'm only saying 79 wins. I don't think they have a winning record. I think that they go 79 and what is that then? 83. And I don't think they obviously make the playoffs. I do think they finish ahead of the Rockies, but that's it. I do think San Diego is going to have a good year, but I'm going with 79. I'm tempering expectations. I just want to be pleasantly surprised this year. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to think about how, oh man, I was too stupid to overshoot it. I don't want to be watching a game halfway through April and being like, oh my God, what was I thinking? So I think there's a better way for me to enjoy the season personally. So that's why I'm going to go with a losing record, 79 wins.
That's awesome. All right, so you're basically just under the over-under, and I'm about a win or two above the over-under. So, hey, we'll hedge our bets, then we'll lose the rake, and we'll be down 10%.
Yeah, that's true.
You put $1,000 on the under, I'll put it on the over, and we'll lose about, whatever, $90 or whatever it is. That's how they get you, by the way. That's it.
Yes, it is.
All right, so with that in mind, we always have some crazy predictions from our listeners, and obviously there's a few in here that I kind of deleted from the average. But everything that was within reason, like a legitimate number, I entered into a spreadsheet and calculated the total. So we had basically almost 100, entries, if you will, 100 numbers. And here's the overall mean. The overall mean was 86.4 wins. And if you break it down by social media platform, which is by far overloaded by Reddit, it was like 90% of the votes or 80% of the votes. Reddit mean was 86.8, Twitter was 85.4, and Facebook, maybe it's because it's older realists, was 84.8. So Reddit had the highest. Twitter was kind of a win and a half below that. And then Facebook was almost a win below that. So the overall average, though, was 86.4 wins. So what I promised is when I put this out on social media, I said I will read your predictions on the show. I didn't expect the volume that we got on Reddit. In fact, it was read by, this post was viewed by almost 10,000 people. It's been 12 hours. What the hell? Like that's almost 1,000 people an hour have been reading this post.
Everybody's ready for the season. You know what I mean?
I guess that's what it is. Hey, Redditors, come on over and listen to TortureCast, for God's sakes. We want you, man. I'm definitely going to be promoting that. But anyway, okay, so here's what I propose. We don't have an hour to do this, but I'll just try to go as fast as possible. And you have it open too, right? We'll start with Reddit.
Yes.
And I've sorted this from old to new, just an FYI if you want to do that. So we'll kind of you'll pick up where I was. Instead of best or top, just sort by old.
All right.
And we'll go with that. Because I figured, the people who were mentioned first are the ones who inputted first. So, all right, I'm going to go with Unfair Tonight 9797, said 81 with the gif perfectly balanced, Thanos holding the dagger. I like that one. Ransacked said, this is the way after that. Opposite Solution 642, this is my answer, same as last year. My username 48. Last year they only won 80. Fig Nuns missing 8 seconds, 84. DJ Atlau Pass 90. Rare Cheetah 60. If you asked me before spring training, I would have said 77 or so. After a really promising spring, I'm going to say 85. Cautiously optimistic. Moppy 5 said, I pretty much think the same thing. Serrano Edgar 10, 80. Supposedly Larry Bear said that if the team wins 80 games, he'll swim into McCovey Cove. That's not what he said. I was there at Media Open House when he said it. He said if they go undefeated at home. That's what he said. So they have to win. He actually pulled it off. He said 80 wins at home. So that's what Larry was saying, which of course is impossible. That's not going to happen. Oh yeah, the next person, I'm Owen. He said that if they went 80-1 at home, he'd swim. Crazy Intern 2639. It's a bit annoying he didn't just say undefeated at home. My username 48. It's a reference to the fact the Giants have only lost one home game this spring. Yeah, we know this. Okay, I'll get back to the numbers. I'm Owen. He said that if it went 81 at home, he'd swim. Sorry, I'm beating a dead horse. I haven't read all these. Chet Stillman,
Yeah,
162. That was one of those I threw out. L. Deuterino 77. Hot Take 92. Miss My Tater 90. Tex was
That's a
here.
good name.
Going to go with a mildly optimistic 89. I think that's really optimistic, not mildly. String Cheese Kong. I'm feeling optimistic and believe they'll sneak in with one of the wild card spots with 87. Lance Game 311. This is one of our lower predictions, 70 to 75. We are easily fourth place in the West and have a long way to go to actually compete. My username 48 said that's certainly debatable. Robot Umpire 92.
Right.
And Webb has 19 of them. Whoa, that is a big one. Bart and Lisa 100. Okay, we're getting into crazy territory here. Sports Dude 1991, 7 wins above 500. Dude, just.
Oh, you got to be careful under this one. Yeah.
Just
yeah.
say
I was
88.
gonna say.
Yeah, and then later says my username 48 said so 88 wins. Fox Die 420 80. Fluorescent Hamster Jung-Hoo Lee wins MVP. Yeah, that's not happening. Leget Alum 87. Zoomy 913 79. Deuce Voyeur 69. Crazy Intern 2639. 69-9 like the 2016 Warriors, but then apocalypse happens. Dyson Sphere 87 to commemorate the birth of our savior Buster Posey, a step in the right direction, but just the beginning of the building of a competitive team. I like that. That's good. That's nice and positive. Disney Vista more than the Rockies.
Oh, I hope so.
Very good. That's probably a safe bet. California Newfie. Thank God for the Rockies. Last place sucks. Disney Vista. Amen to that. I just want us to be fun to watch at least. Getting shut out multiple times last year was infuriating. There's some long.
I mean, he's got a point.
Yeah,
he's got a point though. I watched these last 2 games and they felt like they're a fun team to watch again.
Yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't be underselling them, but that was a good point.
Proper Dealer 6447, 85 to 77. That's a nice big range. Tricky Target 70 50.
I think that's the record.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that's
you're right.
the record.
Actually, I did put 85 in. No, 85 and 77 is the final record. So 85 wins. Next one, 89 wins. Let's see. Next one, Gavin Ashun. Pacoda says 77. Vegas says 80. I'll say 81. Fourth place finish. Bottom 10 ranked farm. Yet fans will be happy and full of promise. That's pretty
Sounds
funny.
fun at parties.
Bar None 88. J-Cup GIF 95. And I'll do one more and then you can take over. Ace Man 1979 says 73. At which point Bob Melvin, quite rightly, rides off into the sunset. This team is 3 injuries away from a catastrophe. I hope to be proved very, very wrong. I think 73 is probably way low, but I understand what he's saying.
Let's be fair, though. Every team is 3-4 injuries away from a catastrophe. Fine, I'll join Reddit. Says they'll win 87 games. Fuss Bus ASA 98 says, I'm hoping it's a 2021 light type year where everyone plays better than we thought. So maybe in 93. CVG 596 87. Hunter Main 23 87. Bruno 123499 says 88 wins in a wild card berth. Matos has a breakout year. Lock it up, buddy. This is Reddit. What are you doing using emojis? Air Walker 12. If the bullpen is good as Eno says it is, that's funny. So Eno says it's a good bullpen. We say it's a good pitching staff. Good. If the bullpen is as good as Eno says it is, Roop takes a step forward. Hicks can survive a larger workload. Ramos repeats last year. JHL hits well. Fitzgerald keeps producing. Adames has a solid year, and Chapman repeats last year. We could win 90. It's incredibly unlikely that all that happens, so I'll say 83. I should have just skipped to the 83.
Yeah, that's pretty funny, though.
I mean, he did it. He built the house of cards, and then he knocked it down.
Yep.
Tono Coney says 101. Yeah, that's okay. Grass Cute 383, 420 wins. Right on, bro. 420, bro.
Right on, bro.
24 hours shitness says 84, and then he says plus or minus 4. So
80 to 88. Okay, great.
Right?
Nice range.
That's an entire week's worth of games, buddy. Bonesaw McGraw said they'll win 78, and we'll all be sad. That's what I'm afraid of. The Skeptic 885. T Pie Man 2029 says 99 and finish third in the division. Holy crap! If they win 99 games and finish third in the division, it would be the best division in the history of baseball. Dark Topher 87, 81. T Blair 64, 87 wins, missed the wild card by 3 games. Somebody else said, I think if they win 87, they'll get the wild card. I don't think 90 will be what it takes. Again, somebody who thinks the NL West is tough. Let's see. All right, let me skim this one real quick. So Stephen S145 thinks Chapman and Adames raise the floor offensively and defensively. As long as they're both well and consistently in the lineup, the team wins 80 games. The young guys, Ramos, Lee, Matos, Bailey, Fitzgerald, are going to determine how high of a ceiling. If 2 or 3 have an all-star or 3 to 4 WAR season, the team can push for 90. The replacement, okay, yeah. Yes, Yaz and Wade and Flores are all capable. Wade Jr. is not really a replacement, but all capable of having big years. So whatever they can give, about 100 win runs created is going to make the team much better. I mean, yeah, obviously you need the support staff. Good call, Steven. iPad Nano Guy, 90 wins. California Newfie did place an over bet in Vegas. He said, when I placed my over wager in Vegas, the official betting line had the Giants at 78.5. I feel confident they'll win at least 79. My actual prediction is 84 and 78. Spring training got me mad optimistic. All right, that's good. That's
interesting because I guess the line definitely moved up.
It had to have, yeah. So if he got it early, yeah. I really wonder what the line was, 2 months ago now. Mojits says 91. I feel bizarrely confident in this. That used to be me, Mojits.
Yep.
Up your ass, Jose says easy 100. This is the best part of this is reading these names.
Right.
Monkey 2001 UM says 84 to 86. Okay. Sacktivities 101 90. Iowa is awful. Great name. 78 wins. This Rice 3150. I think the injury bug hits them and they only get 75. Crazy Intern says 85 wins, and I'll leave it there. Info is tasty. That's another good name. Says I'm going to say 87 wins. Gimme Slack 12 says 73. Unfair Ad says 105 wins. First place in the West. Best overall record in baseball. Top seed in the NL. And win the National League pennant and the World Series. I would like to smoke with that guy. 420, bro.
Can we have that, please?
I mean, seriously, that would be awesome. It did happen in 2021, but I mean, who the hell? Wow, that'd be something. Are we close? JBH 1090. Before spring training, I said 88, and I stand on that. Cautious Day 3477 says 85. The Yoda Lorian XP, okay, 108, and the World Series over the Red Sox. Wow. That'd be a fun World Series, though. Boston, San Francisco.
That would be. I like that.
MS49SF says 76. SLB KMB 90 wins with the team, primarily winning with pitching and defense. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the thing. If the pitching and defense is good, the offense just has to be average. Kind of bored 85. Quat SFK Watt SFO 84 wins. Yeah, there's a lot of middle of the road 84s and 85s. For putts' sake, 85. Unless the Padres fall flat, the division is brutal and the NL has a ton of solid mid-tier teams. Just a tough year, and the Giants play well, but just not enough. So I think he thinks that they don't make the playoffs then, even winning 85 games, which makes sense. Eric Ruff 8 says 80. Barmad says 100. We're a 500 team that's going to have a good year. Again, that was 2021. That's what happened. Flat Alarm 8870. I'm actually thinking around 89 wins and a wild card. Def Sid says 83. P Low 1611 says 92. Bake McBridezilla, good name, 86. Also, what they should do with Bear. Oh, good commentary on using the number 86. Say hey stretch. 2 less than it will take. Yeah, right. 2 less than it will take to make the lowest wild card. So, okay. 2 out hits, 162. Oh, that guy's a freaking moron. I'm 2 out hits, everybody, by the way. Silent Siren 79, 86. My username 48. I'm guessing we got to be close to the end since I found mine. I'm guessing 85 to 90. Whiskey River 83. I know a guy 98, 90. The Quiet Sleeper 023. I'll go optimistic and say 91. This team has the potential to go on a long winning streak at some point, especially with the pitching staff, but the pieces have to fall in the right places. Seriously, am I almost okay?
It's one of those pages I thought was halfway loaded, but it like loads more when you scroll.
That's what just happened to me.
Yeah.
Crimson Eagle 90 wins. Commercial Force 6216 65. Matty P 84. Tom Nasty 90 win team and 4th in the NL West. Let's go.
That doesn't compute, but okay.
I mean, like I said, some of these people think it's going to be the best division in the history of baseball. Dr. Bubble Buddy, 84, only subtraction of note was Snell, who was useless for half the season. Absolutely true. Got better in short, got better defensively in center. Those are the most clear upgrades. I can take regression into factor for dudes like Ramos Fitz, but I also can play the upside for dudes like Bailey. Sounds like you're just sitting on the fence, buddy. Firefighter 0826, feels like another close to 500 sweet season. I feel like we've been through this 10 years now, besides that 21 season.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
That's how I feel. Yep.
Yeah, sweaty, but and they've been boring for years. Like this team better have some life. Sweaty bus. Sorry, got a little excited there. Sweaty bus 8079 says 81. SFG from Chicago. Hell yeah, boy. My heart says 93, but my brain says 78. Yeah, I can relate to that one. Oh, good. I am at the end. JP Mello says 86, guaranteed. I love the guarantee, JP Mello. Do we come to you for a refund or something like that? And then the last one on here, MBH 400 says, after that amazing spring training, I'm hopeful, very hopeful because of our pitching. If Verlander, Webb, and Robbie Ray stay healthy, we could win 90, and even more if any of the Hicks, Root, Birdsong trio continues to progress. Our hitters aren't going to blow the doors off of Oracle Park. Nobody is. But if most of them just play up to their average, things could get exciting. And then he said all that to say, final answer, 91 wins. Best case scenario, everyone healthy. 96 wins. Okay. Worst case, any of our top 3 pitchers go down, and it's 78 wins. Wow. There are so many contingencies in place.
I know.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah. The stacking of if this happens and then that happens. So thank you to Reddit. That was awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for all your replies. And I'll go ahead and go with the Twitter and the Facebook ones right now. So on Twitter, we got at D_Mays_Dicky going with 89. We have at SOSOLO26, so it's so low, 26 maybe. Cameron Bell, 85 wins, and I'm being generous. At Ryan Walters says 78 to 82, so 80, I guess. Alpha Sports Betting, what's the username here, though? At California Kid 7 says 85. Tiberius Ash, of course, he's a friend of Willie's down in Austin, so he said 159-3, but swept by the Astros for the 3 losses. That's pretty comical. I like.
Why the Astros? That's what I want to know about that
He's
one. Of all the teams.
He's an Astros fan.
Oh.
So he's just setting it up like that.
Okay.
Actually, I like that. That's pretty good. So, okay, I think that was all from there. And then I've got Facebook. Yeah. And, of course, it just reset. Why wouldn't else it do that? Okay, here we go. We got Bob Granger, longtime UK fan. Welcome back, guys. Most importantly, send big love. We'll skip that. As for the Giants, let's be positive and say 87 wins. Mike Dowling, another longtime listener, 90 games. I think the Giants will surprise a lot of people. Yeah. I mean, it could happen, Mike. I'm there. Let's see. Yassine Villa says 84. Lots of good vibes for us. My wife says 88. Ryan Leong, our good buddy who was always there covering games for Bay Area sports, is 85. Martin Banks, 80. Joshua Kaysen says 79. Rob Kelly, 81. Sam Rodriguez, 89. And John Henry, 86. So there you have it. Hey, everyone, thank you so much for putting in your win totals there. Really appreciate that.
And I'll quickly say thanks to Bob and Lizanne on the other front. I appreciate their thoughts.
Yeah, sorry if I mispronounced any names there. I apologize. All right. Well, let's get, as we wrap up the show here, we don't want to go too long in the tooth here. We gave our wins. I'm going with 82. You're going with 79. Willie's going with 88. We heard what Willie has for the rest of it, so we'll just trade off here. Playoffs, we already said that. We both say no. Team leader in home runs, we differ there. I go Chapman. You go?
I'm taking Ramos.
Chapman? I said Chapman.
I think Ramos is gonna really be a stud this year.
Yeah, no, for sure. And average, you've got?
I've got Jung-Hoo Lee for average. Sorry, I didn't keep that going. I got Jung-Hoo Lee for average, and you've got, funny enough.
I know, Ramos, it's kind of funny. It's like I'm thinking, maybe. Hey, believe me, Lee was definitely a guy I considered, and I put him, by the way, on the top of my stolen bases. So it's kind of, I guess it's a little bit of, kind of a shooting my own foot, I guess, in a way, because I'm thinking maybe he won't be leader of average because he's going to be hurt. But if he's hurt, he probably won't have the opportunities for the stolen bases, but I put him there anyway. So I don't know. Call me confused, whatever. So. Team leader in wins. I think this is the only one we went across the board, right? We all chose Webb on that one. ERA, I went with went with Webb, and you went with?
Yeah, you're ready to wrap. I went with Robbie Ray. I think he's gonna. This is really only going off watching him pitch last night, but I went with Robbie Ray. I really like the way he looked. I was impressed with Hicks tonight. The guy had 10 groundouts in 5 innings. That's impressive. Leader in stolen bases, which you had mentioned previously. I'm going to say Ramos. There's just something about him getting on base as much as I think he's going to. Mm-hmm. And the speedy guys just aren't going to get on as much as him, even though I do think Lee gets on quite a bit. But I don't know. For some reason, I just got this feeling Ramos is the team leader in stolen bases. And you had...
And I had Lee, which was the counterintuitive thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, that's right.
And Willie went with the
So who makes it? Yep. All-Stars. I've got Ramos, Adames, and Chapman for All-Stars.
Yeah, and I got everyone but Adames. I got Webb and Chapman. And look, Adames is definitely possible there. The Giants just don't normally have a lot of All-Stars lately. They seem to be squeezed out a little bit. Webb made his first All-Star game last year. And anyway, I expect Chappie to make it back at some point this year. And then I'm also expecting Chapman to kind of win the only special award this year. And we're talking Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, MVP, Cy Young, or any other ones, but those are the main ones. And so I think Chappie will get the Gold Glove again like he did last year. Willie said Bailey and Chappie, and then you went with?
I also went with Chappie. And I do think Willie's point about Bailey was really right on. The fact that he's on everybody's radar now, so it's almost like his to lose. But
true.
Chappie's just a guarantee. You can write Chapman's name in pen for the Gold Glove at this point in his career. It just seems like a thing he's going to win year after year.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he's the modern day Brooks Robinson, but he is an amazing third baseman. And so that's just totally like easy. Like I just expect that. If he doesn't win, it'll be a travesty. He'll have had to have been injured and missed a half the year.
Yeah, I think
But
that's kind of
we're
what
pretty
it is. Yeah.
we're pretty much around each other on a lot of these, though. I mean, web across the board for wins. I mix it up with ERA, but we pretty much are. At least we're seeing the same things right now.
Yeah, the Giants are going to be good this year. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people for stretches. That's the problem. Will they have the consistency? I mean, even the worst team in the major leagues has a good week. I get that. They'll go, 6-1 in a week, and you're like, oh, maybe this team's going to be. Oh no, they only won 68 games, 72 games this year. The Giants are not going to be that team. They are going to have some sustained weeks and months of good performance. They might have one of the better records in Major League Baseball over a period of a couple of months, but it's just overall, I do expect the injuries to catch up with them, just like it kind of has been doing every year. And like you pointed out, aside from the 2021 year, they've been 500 for like 5 years, and it's really frustrating to see this team so mediocre. I am just hoping, though, that moving on to a different era of ownership and leadership and management will start to bear some fruit. And maybe it will be as early as this year. We'll see. Maybe, kind of this first really full spring that Buster's in charge. He's kind of settled into his role. They had fewer guys at spring training this year. Maybe people know their roles more. Like you said, no more openers. We won't see the heavy carousel that we see every year with like 62 guys in uniform by the end of the year, something crazy like that. It'll be more down to like 40 something, hopefully lower than that. It'll be kind of more normal. So anyway, look, I'm excited. We're always excited every year. I don't think, even though we have kind of poor win totals, we do see how long the season is. It doesn't make us less excited for Giants baseball. I think that's one thing I want to try and communicate to everyone out there. Eric and I aren't saying it's just going to be another crappy year. These are just guesses, man. These are guesses based on what has happened over the last 5 years and what we see going forward. Believe me, if they stay healthy, I think they're absolutely going to win more than 82 games. But that's the problem. They need to stay healthy. So I got a lot of hope. I got a lot of positive energy for this team. I got a lot of excitement for this team, and I'm ready to go. And the injuries are never going to be devastating in April. At least it doesn't seem like that, because they're not going to be 20 games behind the Dodgers at the end of April. And I think that's the difference. They always have time to make it up. But when you start hitting that July, August time frame and you see them, 15 games behind the Dodgers, and then the injuries are all mounting, and it's wild card or nothing, and now you're losing, in that shuffle, it's frustrating. So they've done it before. I hope it doesn't happen again this year. I don't know. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, well, like you say, I'm excited just because, baseball's back. It's nice to have it back in our lives every day. I love the Giants. I'll never love any other sports team as much as the San Francisco Giants. So if I'm not excited for this time of year, I'm just dead. Right? It just you might as well put me in the ground, because this is the time to be excited. So, I've got that going, and yeah, I undershot it, but I'm really in a show me phase. I'm tired of being the guy that thinks they're going to finally, this is the year. And then, they're like, nope, we're just some average dude. I'm like, all right. So, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing it. I'm excited to see Verlander pitching for the Giants. I think that's going to be kind of fun. I thought it was cool. I wonder if Verlander or Pablo brought it up when Pablo came into camp for a couple days. Mm-hmm. The World Series, the 3-homer night, but granted only 2 were off Verlander.
Well, 2,
but still. Yeah. Albuquerque was the other one.
I was there that night. Unbelievable. Definitely the best baseball game I've ever been to. No doubt. It was right. That is the best baseball game I've ever been to. And then when I took my son to the NFC Championship game, 49ers versus Lions, a little more than a year ago, that was the best football game I've ever been to. So pretty cool that I've been able to experience that. I hope the Giants have some more tales to tell at the end of this year, because it would be pretty cool if Verlander hits 300 at some point. And the Giants just outperform the naysayers, and they do lock up a wild card spot, and they go on a roll like they did in 2014. Look, it's all possible. We all know this. Look at Arizona and look at Texas and stuff like that. It happens every other year. Wild card runs the table and gets into the World Series or wins it. Giants have done it. So just get a ticket to the dance, baby. And I think that is within their grasp. Just everything has to line up for them. But I think things are looking good for, as much as they can, despite the competition in the division. And we don't need to talk about the Dodgers. We already know how good they are. But that is one of the big frustrating, elephants in the room. It's just the fact that that team is just buying everything. And it's hard to compete. And it takes wins away from the Giants. And it puts them at a competitive disadvantage to not only make the playoffs, but now you're in the playoffs and you got to play an extra round, those kinds of things. So what can you say? If the Giants had done what the Dodgers did, we know we would be the evil empire, but we'd love it. So it is what it is.
I'd be totally fine with it. Yep.
I'd be totally fine with it. I wouldn't be like, no, the Giants need to spend less money. It's like, nope, that's fine. Right? It's not my money. Not my money, but all right, cool, man. Well, look, I've got, as far as stuff coming up, we have the season opener happening Thursday in Seattle, so less than 48 hours from now. Boy, I'm
Cincinnati.
About that. Sorry. Oh, I said
Cincinnati.
Seattle. I meant Cincinnati.
Yeah,
sorry.
Seattle's the home opener.
Yeah, it's the home opener. My apologies. You're right. They're in Cincinnati, where they're going to be. Oh, that's right. Taylor Rogers will be there, old friend of the team. But they open up in Cincinnati, so I'm going to be looking forward to that. Although I'm going to be in jury duty. Been in jury duty all week, so I'm going to miss that. I'm going to have to check on the phone, but it is what it is. And then I have, like I said at the top of the show, my video for my food tasting review at Media Open House. I'm almost done with the video, so hopefully I'll get that up in the next couple of days, and I'll be able to put that on all our socials, which, by the way, are TortureCast at Gmail if you want to email us anything, facebook.com/TortureCast. Or follow us on Twitter, X, whatever the hell you want to call it, TortureCast. And I'm sure soon we will be active on Blue Sky and Instagram. We got to get those accounts running again. But Eric, what you got?
This is what I got right now, and I'm happy to have it. That's it. Baseball,
That's
TortureCast. That's it.
Okay.
I'm still on Twitter at 2outhits with the number 2, but I understand if people don't want to go there, and I just personally don't want to promote it. So, if you know me, you know me, you know where to find me.
That's why one of the reasons we're kind of, we haven't put a lot of time into it because of issues in our personal and professional lives. But yeah, Twitter is not what it used to be. Just going to leave it at that. But I'm still there at ChadK21, and then, of course, at TortureCast. But look for socials to at least expand. Not shut down there, but expand. And but we're reachable in so many different avenues. Of course, you can find our podcast wherever you find podcasts. If you listen to this, I don't need to tell you that. I always found that funny at the end of every podcast. Hey, you can always find us on... It's like, yeah, I already found you, buddy. I'm listening to you. I know, I've already found you. Anyway... That'll do it for episode 310, our annual season preview. Glad you joined us. That was a lot of fun tonight. Willie joined us for about 15 minutes. Glad he got his word in. But yeah, we're going to be recording obviously more regularly now. We're going to be trying to get back up to the weekly or every other week time frame. We don't want to let too much baseball kind of pass us by before we record, especially at the beginning of the season. That's where the narrative starts being built. That's where the story unfolds, and that's where we want to be discussing baseball with each other and talking with you guys. So anyway, thanks for listening. We're excited to cover our 15th season of San Francisco Giants baseball, and hopefully the Giants will have a great 2025 season. So hang in there, everybody, and keep listening. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.
A big thank you to everybody for listening to the TortureCast, the podcast by and for fans of the San Francisco Giants. Follow us on Twitter at TortureCast. You can also like us on Facebook or check out our blog at torturecast.com. I also want to say thank you to Ashcon and Bailey for letting us use their song Feeling Like a Giant for our intro. For Ben Lee and Chad King, my name is Willie Dills saying, we'll see you next time.